Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for coming down to the Savoy today for our press conference to introduce the fight which is happening on April the 14th at the O2 Arena, which is Billy Joe against Martin Murray to my left here, and Terry Flanagan in action as well, fighting for the vacant WBO junior welterweight title. He's moving up a level, up against an undefeated fighter from Dallas, Morris Hooker. On paper, it's going to be another tremendous event. We've had a succession of great fights which we've brought to you on Box Nation and on BT, and there's no reason to suspect that this bill, once again, will not be another fantastic evening of boxing. And for many watching, of course, it's going to be a homecoming for Billy Joe after that fantastic performance against David Lemieux on the 16th of December. I know that not many of the British media, unfortunately, were able to make it over there for one reason or another, but I'm sure you all watched it on the box, and Frank and I, we were there, and various others, and of course, I mean, I think afterwards people were saying that's one of the outstanding performances by a British fighter overseas for many, many years. It was a tremendous performance, and it's going to be brilliant to see Billy back in action against a guy here who we know is one of the toughest men in boxing. 4 defeats, yeah, but 3 at middleweight, and I guess all of them, he would say, apart from maybe Gennady Golovkin, who stopped him in 11, but against Felix Sturm, the draw, against Martinez, and against Arthur Abraham, he'll say, I'm sure, that he feels he was unlucky that he didn't get the decision. But it's a cracking fight and a build to look forward to. And the man by my side, of course, is the bloke who's putting it together, our Hall of Fame promoter, Frank Warren. And Frank will be buzzing, of course, from Arsenal's performance last night.
Yeah, well, any Chelsea faces in the audience tonight? No?
Wenger in.
Yeah, done well. Wenger, yeah, well, in out. Anyway, yeah, it's a good performance last night. But this is even better. This is a cracking show. I want to reiterate what John said. Billy Joe's performance against Lemieux was one of the best performances I've seen from a British boxer fighting away from home in my time in boxing. It was outstanding. It was even, I think, even got Floyd Mayweather saying that, what a great performance it was. He was tweeting, and he certainly got everybody focused now as to how good he is. It finally happened, and I've always believed that he's capable of this and more. And the Americans, all of them at ringside, all thought it was going to be a formality. They already thought that Lemieux was going to win the fight against Bill. But as I say, Bill went into the other guy's backyard. He took on him. He took on the hostile supporters, and came away not just with his title, but also with a lot of respect from the Americans, a lot of respect from Canelo, who I'm telling you now, as I sit here, does not want to fight him in any circumstances. Eric Gomez was sitting next to me at ringside, and he was looking at me sort of bemused, and he's obviously Eric Gomez from Golden Boy, bemused, and he could see, like I've always felt, that Bill has the style and the boxing brain to beat the best of them when it comes down to it, if he's 100%. And you've got to take credit to him and certainly to Dominic for getting him to where he's at. But now he's home. He's in London. He's at the O2, and he's fighting Martin Murray. And John, as John just said, he's a tough performer. He's another guy, never worried about going to the other guy's backyard. I think he was robbed in Argentina. Get close fights, but I felt he deserved that, and certainly the other couple of fights he had with Sturm, etc., were the same. He's fighting a middleweight. He knows, and I mean this with the greatest respect, this is probably the roll of the dice, isn't it? If he's going to win a world title, this is it. It's the age he's at, and he seems to fancy the fight. I know he does fancy it, and that's the type of fighter he is. But this is going to be a good fight. There's a lot on the line for both the guys. For Bill, it's not a marking time fight. This is a defence of his title against quality opposition. This is about him reiterating that he should be in with the winner of Golovkin and Canelo. I'm sure when Bill talks, he'll say that he's not even, mine's not on that, but my mind's on it, and that's where he should be, and that's what boxing's all about, the best fighting the best. So Bill's got to come through this fight. He's got to win this fight well. If he does win the fight well, then it's my job to make the rest happen. But he can't afford to slip up. And you only got to look at him now. He looks in for Bill to be in a press conference, looking in the shape he's in. I'm really delighted. He's got a lot of heart. He's obviously keeping to his newfound love for the game and enthusiasm. And so long may that continue. He's a young man. He's got a long time yet in this business. And I think he can go out there and become one of our modern day greats. You know, it's in some ways it's a bit like Joe Calzaghe. All those years I kept banging the drum for him, and I remember getting letters from Vic Waken at Sky saying they had no interest in him, from ITV saying they didn't want him, and I used to sort of force the issue through other fights that I was involved with to keep him going. Bill had I think he's had his Joe Calzaghe moment. He's now become it's not 10 years, but it's probably about 8 years overnight sensation, certainly in America, and that's where we are now. And now he's got to just keep it going, keep focused, and keep delivering. And he I think will go down as being one of our best fighters in recent years.
Frank, before we hear from the lads, and we ought to also talk about Terry's move up in weight as well. But you say that Canelo and Golden Boy don't perhaps fancy it too much after what they saw in Montreal. What about Golovkin?
I don't know with Golovkin. I'm not spoken to him. When I say I think they don't fancy it, I don't think. I know they don't fancy it. He don't want it. We could, he does not want that fight. He's, they obviously made the fight with Triple G now, and to be quite honest, I think that the fight will go pretty much the same as it did last time round, but with hopefully with a sensible judge in place. Golovkin, we had the contract. We signed a contract to fight Golovkin. It was all there to be done, and he obviously took time out. But the bottom line is, if Golovkin doesn't fight Bill, it says a lot about them. It's nothing about Bill. Every contract that I put in front of Bill, from Eubanks to Golovkin, all of them, I put it down to him, sign it, I've got to get them back. He signs them, I send them back. We never get them. They never come back to us. They all had second thoughts all the way through. And after Lemieux, they'll be having third thoughts now. But I'm hoping with Golovkin, he comes through the fight, if he wins the fight, I'm hoping with Golovkin that he will, he's a warrior, isn't he? Yeah. He's like Bill, he's a warrior. Bill fight anybody, and I think Golovkin's like that. So hopefully, we can make that fight, but we're going to work very hard to do it.
And a word about Terry. He'll have been a year out of the ring, near as damn it, when the fight actually happens, moving up a weight division. He tells me that his fitness worries are behind him now, and he's in good shape. And it's at the age of 33, still undefeated. It's kind of a fresh beginning.
It is. I think he's our Britain's longest reigning undefeated champion, which is great, 33-0. Terry, again, he's done it the hard way. He's in with a really good fighter. They fancy their man in Maurice Hooker. But I've got every confidence that Terry can do the business and become a double weight champion. And then we can move on to some of the fights that he's asked me to make. I mean, he's a guy who's actually asked me to make the Lomachenko fight. He wanted to do that, and I'm saying to him, I don't fancy that yet, but he wants it, and that's the ilk of Terry. He's one of those guys that he'll fight anybody.
A whole new sort of playing field opening up at the new level. He's had it's 5 defences at lightweight, and now it's a new opening.
It is, and it's an exciting division. There's some really good fighters in there, and Terry deserves to be there with them. Terry's on his day. I think he's one of the best around. There's no doubt about it on his day. And when he won the title, his previous titles, I thought he was outstanding. Yeah. When he, the 2 fights is unfortunate. One where the guy's shoulder come out, that was what it was. But the second fight, he was again a big underdog in that, and he went in that ring and absolutely took him apart and destroyed him. And I think he's been fighting with injuries for quite a while now. Hopefully that's all behind him. And Steve Malett's done a fantastic job. Again, as a trainer, I've got tremendous respect for him. So now it's up to Terry to go out there. He's got home advantage, win the fight. Because London is home as well, you know that, Terry. Just here. So he's got home advantage, and then we can hopefully move on to some really good fights for him.
Okay, well, before we hear from the 2 guys in the main event, and Dominic Ingle as well, who's here on top table, as you can see, who is Billy Joe's trainer, let's just have a word with Terry and Steve. Terry, you know, going up to 10 stone, it's a pretty open secret that it doesn't get any easier as the years have gone past in making lightweight. How much of a relief is it to be moving up to the higher division?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big relief, but I've still got to make 10 stone. That won't be easy in itself, but yeah, it's an extra £5, and I think I'll be a better fighter at that weight.
Tell us what the injury worries are that you've had to struggle with over the last year.
It's just a little tendon problem, and I thought there was no quick fix. It was just needed time to rest, and as soon as it healed up, I'm ready to go now, yeah.
It's just been a question of rest to put it right.
Yeah, there's no quick fix, no surgery, just needed rest. It's like tendonitis, you can't do nothing.
And how was that affecting you? What sort of problem was it giving to you in your recent performances?
I had it since the Derry Matthews fight, and after that I've not been able to run, like do stuff like that, sprints, anything like that. So yeah, it has affected me. I think it's shown in my fight. So
has it affected your balance, your mobility?
No, not really. Just training wise, not being able to do that intense sprints and stuff like that. But I've rested it up now. It's all healed up and ready to go now and show people what I'm capable of at 10 stone.
Steve, how do you reckon the difference is going to show itself with Terry?
It'll probably make my job a lot better again, because on the last camp, Terry likes to train hard right the way up until his easy week, or say 10 days out before we start resting up. But from 4-5 weeks out, he was tired, he was jaded, he wasn't at his best, and he was still coming in the gym asking me to train hard, and I had to ease him down a bit. So I think psychologically he didn't go into the fight with his best head on, and I think at sometimes he probably doubted himself, but I knew he'd beat Petrov even probably at 80%, so we carried on with the fight. But this is going to make my job easy now, because I can push him 100% again right up until I need to.
Tell us about Maurice Hooker and the problems that he's going to bring, because I mean Terry's going to be fighting somebody here who's way bigger than him. He stands over 6 foot, doesn't he?
Yeah, he looks about 6'1". I've looked at some of the pictures and stuff, and he's a lot bigger than Crawford, and Crawford's a big lad, so it'll probably be the first time he's got to deal with size advantage, but that's nothing that Terry's not capable of dealing with. He spars bigger lads a lot of the time, so it'll be something that by the time fight night comes, it'll be Terry's advantage and not his.
What are your thoughts on fighting a bigger lad, Terry? I mean, do you look at him, do you study him, or do you leave it all to Steve?
I just leave it to Steve, but yeah, I've watched bits of him, and what I've seen is I'm capable of beating him. So yeah, as long as Steve comes up with a game plan, I'll stick to it and we'll do the business.
So keep that undefeated record.
He's
going,
only just seen Hooker's record on here, and when he's seen 16 knockouts, he went, can he punch a bit then? So I said, yeah.
Yeah, 26 fights undefeated against Terry, who's undefeated in, what is it now, 34, isn't it?
33.
33, I beg your pardon. It will be
34.
undefeated in 34, of course. Getting a bit ahead of myself, but it's a terrific fight as principal support to our main event. We've heard Frank set it up, and first of all, Martin, you've come so close over the years. I mean, you must still wonder how you didn't get the decision against Felix Sturm, and particularly, I think, for those of us who saw it, against Sergio Martinez.
Yeah, first of all, I'd just like to thank Billy, Frank and MTK for giving me this opportunity. It's come at a perfect time in my career. And yeah, just thanks for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. But regarding the other fight, yeah, I mean, I've been unlucky, but that's boxing. I understand the game. You know, I've never been afraid to go over in people's backyards and fight them. I think where I've suffered in the past in my career is I've never had the backing of one solid promoter right through my career. And, you know, I've always kind of been here and there with different promoters, taking fights that most probably other people wouldn't take, but that's the gamble you take. You know, everything happens for a reason. It's paid off in one way or another, because obviously I'm here now. You know, I've got my 5th chance. I'm lucky to get my 5th chance. You know, some people don't get one, but the fact that I'm having 5, you know, it's really unheard of. But I think it's only throughout my performances in them other 4 that's allowed me to get into this position. So like I said earlier, I'm very lucky and can't thank him enough for the opportunity. But it's now or never for me. It's I've got to win this fight. It's as simple as that. I know I'm fighting a class operator in Billy Joe. I really rate him, always have done. I know I'm in for a hard night, but obviously I'm going to give it me all and hopefully I can kick-start my career.
How much or how highly did you rate Bill's performance against Lemieux? Because, I mean, there was a lot of kind of wisdom with hindsight, I thought, after that, where people were saying, oh, you know, he was predictable, he was this, he was that. But as Frank said, a lot of people said he was going to knock him out. And, I mean, he made a good fight to look a bum.
Yeah, I mean, he was the underdog going in. Lemieux, we all know we can punch is hard. And, you know, I got interviewed with Boxing News the week before and they asked me how I thought the fight would go. And I said exactly how it would. I just, like I said, I rate Billy Joe. I knew that he was going to up his game and put in a class performance, and he did. So it was no surprise to me because, like I said, I rate him. I always have done. I knew that he was going to go over there and do the biz.
So how do you beat him?
You tell me. No, listen. Obviously, I'm with a great trainer. Jamie Moore's training me now with Oliver being ill, but obviously Oliver's having parts in it as well. But we're two good guys. We're working on tactics. Like I said, we know it's going to be an hard fight. But you know, we're coming up with little ways that we think will work, and you know, we'll only find that out on April 14th.
It's got to be a key fact, isn't it, that you don't load up with every punch like Lemieux did, trying to knock him out from word go. Because I mean, doesn't that just play into his hands? Yeah,
well, obviously Lemieux tried it. You know, I think that was Lemieux's only chance of beating. Billy, he's not in his level class wise, boxing wise, so that was his only chance, and obviously he was just playing into his game, looking for that one punch. But I think obviously it's a mixture of both. You know, you can't just go out there looking for the one punch, but you know, and you've got to box him as well. But he's a really, really good boxer, so you know it's going to be a mixture of a thinking game and a fighting game. But like I said, it's going to be a tough night to work. He's a quality operator, but I'm looking forward to it.
Back here in front of people who were just massively impressed with what you did in Canada. I mean, how proud were you as you walked away with what you did?
You know, first of all, again, just like to say thanks to obviously BT Sport, Box Nation, Frank Warren, and for everyone turning out. But listen, the Lemieux fight now is behind me. I mean, I put it behind me now. It was a good performance. I always knew in my own heart and mind what I could do. So yeah, I was happy obviously to come away with the win, especially being away from home. You know, some people fold under the pressure, but I love pressure. I perform better. And to be honest with you, Martin Murray brings more of a threat than Lemieux, if I'm honest, because, you know, Martin, in my opinion, should have been world champion twice. So, you know, people say, oh yeah, he's, you know, his age and whatnot else, but you can only look at his last few performances that, you know, it's still there. So take my off to Martin Murray for taking the fight, and I'm happy to give him the opportunity to fight, because if anybody else would have probably got offered this, like Golovkin, Canelo, like Frank said, they put it towards them. I know that most of them have said, and I'm not saying they're scared or they're running away because they're warriors, but there's just something about me that most people want to steer clear of now. So fair play to Martin. But, you know, it's about hard work now and not going fat, not ballooning up, really putting the hard work in, because I know now that I'm 28, I've got 2 years to do what I want to do and to be at the pinnacle of my career, because, you know, when you get older, shall I say, you know, am I gonna live like this and be as sharp as I am at 30, 31, 32? My personal opinion, I don't think I am, but we'll see. You know, that's what I'm saying. So I wanna make the most of it. Why I've got my youth, why I'm feeling good, why I'm feeling fresh, why I'm obviously working with Dominic. You know, put the new lease of life in me, and I'm happy. I'm happy doing what I'm doing. So it's now not it's a job now. It's instead of before, it was like I've got to go for a run now. But now I'm enjoying it. You know, you have a good crack with the lads up there, and it makes a big difference. So I'm happy where I'm at the minute in my life and also in my boxing career.
Dominic, tell us a bit about the new Billy Joe Saunders and the changes that you've seen since he first walked into your gym.
Well, he just said he's possibly got another 2 years left in him, and because he can't, maintain this level of training. But knowing Billy, he's just had his teeth done. He's vain. I can't ever see him getting fat again. So realistically, look at him now. He's probably about, I'd say maybe stone overweight, maybe 16 pounds. Which, I thought he'd be a lot heavier. He's had time out. He's done a little bit of training since Christmas. I think he's about 4 or 5 weeks out. But what I've realised about him, he's vain. And I don't think he's ever going to go fat again. And the only way he can maintain not being fat is to train and be a boxer. And by the time he's actually finished career, I think personally he's probably got another 2 or 3, maybe 4 years at the top because of the way he fights. He don't take a lot of, punishment. He trains smart. He doesn't get hit. And he can't afford to get hit now with these teeth. It's cost him a fortune.
Martin, don't be punching me in the mouth.
So, I think that somewhere even down the line, the game plan for Martin is, punch his teeth out and upset Billy. Because I've seen that happen before, believe it or not. But no, he's a good place, Billy. It's Christmas. I'm looking at him. He's in good shape. He's been over to Marbella training, done a few weeks with Tyson Fury. And I did expect him to be a little bit heavier. But he knows when he comes back into camp, it's hard work. And he's got a lot of people, biting at his heels, keeping him on track. And Billy likes to win at everything. In Canada, we were playing Monopoly, cards, every game you can imagine, table tennis. He was no good at table tennis, kept throwing the bat off every time he got beat. But he's very, very competitive. And it doesn't matter if you're a featherweight or a welterweight or a heavyweight, whoever he's competing with, he wants to be the best no matter what. So that's the incentive for him. I think he's got, like I said, 2 or 3 years at the top level. But the fight, everybody wants to see. Not taking anything away from Martin. Martin's been in with Golovkin. Nobody wants to fight somebody who can box. And that's probably why the likes of Canelo and Golovkin are holding back a little bit. But Martin Murray here, he did 11 rounds with Golovkin. I can remember watching that fight. And anyway from halfway point, he could have just thought, I've had enough here. But he showed proper grit. He got through to the 11th, and I think if that fight had been in Manchester in the UK, he'd have finished on his feet. Give him that extra motivation to get through it. But he took some big, big shots from Golovkin. He took it on the chin. It was really the body shots, and he's a very, very solid performer at the top level. And Martin needs these type of fights to motivate him. And then you look at his last couple of performances, George Groves, the title fights he's been in. As Billy says, he has been very, very unlucky that he's lost it by a whisker. And I think he knows this is probably his last hurrah, his last chance. For a big fight. It's a world title fight. Everybody loves an old British clash. He's got Jamie Moore behind him, training him. And I think it's going to be a very good fight. And it's a fight that Billy can actually fall flat on his face. After the performance against Lemieux, it'd be very easy for him to sit back and think, I've got this made easy. I'm not going to underestimate Martin Murray. And hopefully Billy doesn't, because that's how you get beat in this game. Being complacent and underestimating people, because Martin Murray will be coming with his best game. And Billy can't afford to be anything less, than 100%. So, I'm really looking forward to this fight. It's going to be a tremendous fight.
Dom, is it fair to say that Martin is he's not, with the greatest of respect, he's not a household name compared with some, but he's in the trade among people who know boxing, who work in boxing. There's massive respect for this guy, isn't there?
Yeah, he's a solid performer. Look at him, he ain't got a mark on him, really. I think he's going to go into modelling after he's finished boxing. I mean, the way he fights, he's been in some tough fights. But if you look at him, he hasn't got a broken nose, he hasn't got bumps over his eyes, he hasn't got cauliflower ears. He's quite a tough performer, and he's been in some tough fights. I can remember watching all his fights. I've always had an interest because he boxed Lee Noble one time, Martin, early on in his career. Lee Noble had been in with everybody. He said, I've never been hit so hard in my life. He said, I felt like getting sick every time he hit me to the body. So he's a very tough performer. You don't lose that. I think he kept himself well in between fights. But I just don't think he's, like he said himself, he's had the big promotional push. What's got people into position and had, pushed the career on. He's had to fight for everything he's had. He's always been, almost the nearly man. So he's a tough candidate, and like, Billy says, he will present a bigger problem than Lemieux. Lemieux was a one-trick pony, relied on his power and trying to close the ring down. Martin can box as well, and he can punch and he can fight. So, it's going to be a difficult fight, and there's no way we're underestimating Martin in this contest.
Billy, everybody's going to be looking forward to seeing you fighting back here in London. I mean, the outpouring on social media was extraordinary, with everybody, opening their eyes, I think, to just how good you can be. How much are you looking forward to getting back and fighting in London and showing people face to face, so to speak, what you can do?
Yeah, I mean, I boxed at the O2 once earlier on in my career. I think it was my 5th fight. And I remember when I boxed there, it was a real good atmosphere. And always, like every time I see a show happening at the O2, I always wish like, I wish I was fighting there. I wish I was fighting there, because it's one of them venues that like capture you. And a lot of my fans, to get to the O2 is like walking across the road. So I'll have a lot of support there. You know, I should have a lot of support there, shall I say?
I think that's guaranteed.
Well, that's it. So, you know, I'm very looking forward now just to get back into the swing of things now and getting my fight head back on, because it's no good beating Lemieux in that sort of fashion, then coming back and looking, you know, average. I've got to keep up that, that standard for these other people to take notice of me now, Canelo and Golovkin to take notice of me, you know, to start considering the fight. But, you know, I personally, I think my own self that the Canada performance was good in one way and bad in another, because it was good for my stock but bad for business.
That's the frighten people away.
Well, I wouldn't say Golovkin and Canelo, they're not feared, they're not scared, but you know, the people who's looking after them, they're their cash cows. They're their ones bringing their money in, so they don't want someone coming in giving them an hard night's work or even beating them, because you know, that's just putting a spanner in the works, isn't it? So, you know, but look, I trust Frank, I trust my management, MTK. I know they're out there to look after me, and I'm sure the big fight will come.
How much of a life changer would it be for you if you could pull this off?
Oh yeah, well, I was saying to Coogan earlier, I'm at a stage now in my career where up until this fight getting announced, as Billy said earlier, it was a chore for me going to the gym. You know, it was absolutely killing me going to the gym. I was all right when I got there, but the actual motivation of getting up out of the house and going to the gym, it was hard, which is it's never been like I've always been looking forward to it. But this fight's been announced now. Obviously, it can just completely turn my career around, and I've got that little bounce back in my step now, you know, going to the gym and the motivation. So yeah, looking forward to it. Hopefully, you know, I've told many people many times, I'm in it, like most fighters, for my family, that's it. You know, if this fight don't pay off for me and don't work, then obviously I'm going to have to find another job or, you know, another profession, do whatever, I don't know. But this can kickstart it, so obviously I'll be going in there. I know, like I've said earlier, he's a top fighter, he's got a top trainer with Dominic, you know, respect them both, and I respect him for giving me this chance, because I've got nothing I can offer people, only an hard fight. You know, I've got no belt where people can say, oh, well, I'll risk fighting him in case I get a belt. The only thing I can offer you is an hard fight, and not many people want that, so I respect Billy and Dominic for taking it, and yeah, hopefully this can be fifth time, getting the title, and it can kickstart my career again. But like I said, thanks for the opportunity, and yeah, hopefully things are going to work out right, and yeah, put on a good show.
Right, guys, any questions from the floor before we do photographs and television interviews, etc.? Any questions for the guys?
You said that in a couple of years' time you might be not past it, but you know, might not, what's there now might not be there. So do you think you've peaked now, or is there still more to come from you?
No, I don't. I don't think that I've peaked to the best, but you know, I don't. Who wants to be getting punched in the face for the next 10 years? Listen, I like to think now that I'm looking at the business side out of boxing, property and whatnot else, and you know, there's a good living to be earned there. Not for one shape or form am I thinking about retiring or going. I'm saying I'm giving myself and I've always said it since I put a pair of gloves on. When I turn professional, I want to be finished when I'm 30 or 31, and when I set a goal, I always want to score that goal. And you know, it all depends on it may well go on a little bit longer, but you know, I just personally think I've got a lot more to give, but I'll give myself that time scale, because you get a lot of people now that stay in the game maybe a year too long, maybe 6 months too long, and that can have a big impact on your life, especially when you've got kids and family. So I've just set myself a time scale, and I'm keeping to that.
Any more?
So, apart from Pro Box perspective, Frank mentioned Lomachenko as a future opponent. I was in Vegas 2 weeks ago and interviewed Paul Benares, and he mentioned you as a potential opponent, because after this weekend he's stepping up to 140 pounds. Is that the fight you would like?
Yeah, of course, if I can come through this and he's willing to move up to 10 stone, of course it's a fight I'd have. I mean, it's a fight I wanted at lightweight, I wanted a unification fight, but that fight didn't come off at the time, so yeah, hopefully we can make that happen at 10 stone.
Would Linares be a goer, Frank?
Yeah, we actually was very close to doing the deal for the fight, but unfortunately Terry was struggling with the weight and he moved up. So if he's coming up a weight now, that'd be a great fight. He's got to get through Hooker, which I'm hoping he'll do, and I'm quite confident he'll do. If he gets through that fight, that'd be a great fight for Manchester to put on.
Steve, sorry.
Martin, you were saying you were struggling going to the gym, and
Yeah.
although he was okay when you got there, and you obviously trained hard as always. If this fight hadn't turned up, what would you have done?
I don't know, honestly. I was contemplating spewing it. I was, I'll be honest with you, I was. So yeah, you know, it was kind of... well, last year wasn't the best year. It was 2 wins. Obviously, the year before, you know, I had a tough fight with Groves. Went and had it was a horrible performance. It was a win, but it was a nasty fight in Monte Carlo. Didn't do me any favours. And then beginning of the year, last year I fought Rosado, and then obviously I stepped in at that Super 8 last minute. So we only had 2 last year. And there was too much time in between weights, and I didn't want to. I wasn't hearing. Obviously, was with Matchroom. Didn't hear about anything from a fight with them, so it was kind of like in limbo. You know, I was forcing myself to go to the gym, but I had nothing to go to the gym for. You know, it was kind of obviously the hope that a big fight would be on its way for me, and obviously it's here. So I can't really comment. I think had it not come up, I think I'd have stayed there just for a bit to see what was there for me. You know, this is a big fight. You know, Billy Joe found some real good form of late. You know, an happy fighter is a good and a dangerous fighter. So I'm expecting him at his best. And you know, on the flip side of that, I'm on my last chance. You know, I'm in a desperate situation, and a desperate man's a dangerous man. So it's it's gonna be a good fight. It's we've all got it. With both of us, we've got it to prove, you know. So yeah, just happy for the opportunity, and obviously buzzing that I'm in a training camp for it.
Any more guys? No? Right, well, final word, Frank. Tickets on sale?
Tickets are on. There's a pre-sale tomorrow, and then a general sale is on Monday. We'll be announcing the undercard next week. There's going to be some really good quality bouts on the undercard, some real competitive fights. So, you know, be at the O2. You know, it's going to be a fantastic night on the 14th, and I think we're going to see some exciting fights.
Absolutely, I'm looking forward to it. Terrific fighters here, and it's been good to hear from them this morning. We're going to do some photographs now, some face-to-face photographs, and then everybody who's got their cameras.